Huh. Interesting premise, Protean. Oh, just gotta warn you, if you haven't heard any noises like squealing or whatever, that's just my son playing over there, so, yeah. But yeah, on to your premise. That the human mind is not immune to the effects from multi-million-dollar corporations and ad campaigns and things like that. Outside choices. Is it true? I think it's fairly obvious. Yeah, it is. I am certain, and I'm pretty sure you are as well, that there are a lot of other people who would want to dispute that. And they're going to be saying things like, well, you know, I got a strong will, I know my mind, mainstream media doesn't affect me, the outside world doesn't affect me, I know my choices, I know what I've done, you know, I got, you know, strong mind, strong mental force, whatever. Okay. For those of you who believe that, let's examine that premise. Tea. I was thirsty. Let me give you a little analogy. Just follow along with me. Let's say you're in a physical competition with somebody else for whatever reason. It's just you one-on-one with someone else. I am certain that, you know, let's just say for the sake of argument, one-on-one, you got a 50-50% chance of, you know, making it out in one piece, being able to beat the other guy down and get out of there. I'm sure you guys can, you know, barring skill, you know, skill factors, of course, are going to tip the odds in your favor or against your favor, whatever. You know, it's, you know, if you got more skill than the other guy, then you're going to, you know, have a better chance of winning and vice versa. But the more you start stacking people against you, the less of a chance you're going to be able to beat all of them down, the less of a chance you're going to have of getting out of there. And it will soon get to the point where even if you got high skills and the other people suck, it's just going to be too many numbers for you to deal with. The odds are too great. It's going to be virtually impossible to win. You know, maybe against 5 guys you might have a chance. That's a lot of people, but you know, I've heard of some people doing it. But 10 guys, 20 guys, 25, 30, no. Sorry, no. I'm a martial artist. I'm writing those swords in the wall. And I trained on this type of stuff. But if I see 50 guys, 20 guys, 30 guys coming after me, I'm running, taking off. Sorry. Even if I had a gun, I'd be running. I've got 50 bullets in a gun. I'm sure you guys can see that. It's not an illogical thing to say. I'm pretty sure you can see the logic behind it. But now let's put this in the mental realm. You now have your little mind. I'm not saying as an insult. It's your mind against at least 100,000, not a million people, because it's not more than one corporation. There's a whole bunch of them. All these people trained in the advertising field, given billions of dollars to focus on and study ways to get you to do what they want you to do against just you. Those are ridiculous odds. How could you logically state that you can how could you logically state that you can fend off that many people and not be influenced by what they do? I think that's a little ludicrous, don't you think? Come on, think about it. And also, you got to realize, again, let's put the skill factor involved. There's just you, and the average American runs on autopilot anyway. You don't really think about what you encounter or what you see or what you hear or what you talk about. You just go along and accept. You might do a little bit of critical thinking, but for the most part, you just kind of float along day to day because there's so much to deal with every day. But then you are up against millions of minds, well, hundreds of thousands, whatever. I don't know how many are in the field, but all these people. And they're focused on one goal, to get you to do what their corporation that they work for wants you to do. And they're even trained in this field. They're trained in psychology. They're trained in the workings of the mind. And the mind is a fragile thing to begin with. Highly malleable. It's not just when you're a child. Even when you're an adult, it can affect, they can still mold you in a certain way. And they're trained in how to do that. And the average American, I mean, how many Americans you see out there with psychology degrees, philosophy degrees? It's not common. And you're trying to say that the average mind like that's going to be able to fend all this off? Come on. Be real. For those who are still disputing this, saying that it's not true, well, how many of you guys have an iPod on you right now? Or, you know, an iPhone, or an iTouch, or want to get an any of those iProducts? How many of you guys? I think the odds are pretty big that you got one of some kind, an older model, new model, plan to get one. You got an iPod. Go outside right now. Look at the people walking across the street, walking down the street. You'll see a lot of white earbuds. A lot of white earbuds around. A whole lot of them. Even if they got the noise-canceling headphones, They're attached to an iPod, aren't they? Why? Why is it that so many people got this one particular product? Or this family of products in terms of the phone or, you know, the newer models? It's not like there aren't any other MP3 players out there. There's a bunch. Sony makes one. Panasonic makes one. I believe, yeah, Creative makes one. Microsoft entered the market with their Zune. There's a bunch of them out there. There are even some being made by companies I never even heard of. And they work. They play music. They, the sound quality is good in a lot of them. They do what they're supposed to do. They're not bad products. But for some strange reason, everybody and their mother, even if they happen to have completely different backgrounds, different religions, different philosophies, they got an iPod. Why? Did they weigh the pros and cons of all these other different MP3 players? Did they like check it out in a trade magazine, or did they research it online or something? No. They heard that there was a hot new product out that played music, and they went out and bought it. It's advertising. It's method manipulation. It may not be sinister, but, well, whatever your definition of sinister is, but it's manipulation. You didn't come on, be honest with yourself. You didn't sit in front of like a whole bunch of different models and read about all these different models and go, let's see, this one's got 40 gigabytes and this one's got 50. The sound capabilities, I noticed that the bass is a little bit better on this one. This one, that the sound is a little bit too trebly. I don't really like that. And I don't know if I like the way the compression of the sound files are, because it sounds a little bit too lossy. I'd rather have, no, you didn't do that. You just went to the store and got the iPod because those are the things that are cool. Be honest. You might have rationalized your thought later, or you might have rationalized it as you were buying it, but that wasn't the original impulse that got you to do it. And the reason why you got that impulse was because of the marketing campaign. I can't step like one block outside without seeing an iPod sign up on a billboard. The marketing is highly effective, and you are affected by it. Oh, and for those of you guys who are like, well, what about you? You probably got one too. Actually, I don't. Mini disc forever, baby. But, all right, that's just tangent. Whatever. Point is, we are affected by these things. Even I am. I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. I tend to dodge these things every day. I try to like think of a different thought, but even I'm affected by it. And I admit it, because the human mind is a very fragile thing. If this wasn't true, then it would be impossible to take somebody within a few short months, get them to think in a completely different way than they were before they took them. But this happens every day. Religious cults do it. What you call rehab programs do it. The military definitely does it. Boot camp isn't just about giving you skills to survive in combat or to build your physical body up. Yes, they do that, but what they also do is mentally they break you down and rebuild you up as a warrior that can handle these combat situations but can also follow orders and not question them. Doesn't always work, but that's what boot camp is made for. If you notice the way they talk down on you, when you first show up, they treat you like you're nothing. They give you a number, and or they give you a label, and they don't even call you by your actual name. They like, and they're yelling and they're screaming, and it's breaking you down. And then after they get to that point, then they build you back up. And at the end of it, you suddenly get respect because you're not part of that unit. You're in a new image. That's all in a mental field. It's all mental work. So we are affected by this. Our minds are fragile things, they're malleable things. To state that it isn't, it's just ridiculous. You haven't really studied the way the mind works. But notice I said back in the physical analogy that if you are facing all those people, you can run away. It's the same thing with this stuff. You can, like, I haven't watched TV since I was 21 years old, so obviously all these ads and stuff I'm not affected with. I kind of ran away from it. As far as I can tell, there's only really two ways. There's really only two ways to avoid this stuff. Make a mental, conscious effort to analyze everything you see, hear, experience, and or simply avoid all these things. And it's not easy to do. It really isn't. You're gonna get affected sooner or another. I probably should put up another video just on this topic because this is really, really interesting. But I'm running out of time according to that, and this has gotten kind of long anyway. So, yeah, basically, just sum it all up. I agree with your premise, and there's just a whole lot of examples out there to prove that we are affected by these things. But I do think there is a way to counteract it. We just have to. It just takes a conscious effort. Anyway, thanks.